Have you ever wondered if those colorful animations you grew up with weren't as harmless as they seemed? Has anyone ever told you that Disney isn't just an entertainment company, but a massive machine designed to shape your mind? A machine that millions walked into with a smile, but walked out of with something deeper, maybe even darker. Now picture this: beneath that golden castle, the place everyone thinks magic happens, there are rooms where nothing is what it seems. Imagine cheerful songs hiding messages that don't speak to your ears, but to your brain. Imagine that same cartoon you watched every night before bed was actually programming your subconscious. This isn't a video about cartoons. This is an exposé about an empire built on smiles and control maintained through silence. Disney might just be the safest looking thing you should have never trusted. You're just an ordinary kid. You're lying on the couch, watching a beautifully animated Disney movie. The hero is trying to save the world. The characters are funny, the colors are vibrant, everything feels perfect. But right in the middle of your laughter at a funny line, something flashes across the screen. Very quickly, very subtly. You might not even notice it, but your subconscious does. This is where hidden messages come into play. In The Lion King, there's a famous scene where Simba leaps onto a cliff. Dust flies up into the sky, and the particles seem to form a specific word. If you analyze it frame by frame, you'll clearly see a sexual word spelled out. Disney later claimed it was a joke made by the animation team. But that's not the only case. In Aladdin, there's a scene with a strange whispering voice that faintly says, "Good teenagers, take off your clothes." In early versions of the film, this line was much clearer, but it was removed in later edited releases. In The Rescuers, 1977, there's a specific frame where you can clearly see an image of a topless woman in one of the windows of a building. This frame could only be spotted if you watched the VHS version frame by frame. Disney had to recall over 3 million copies of the film from the market. These aren't coincidences. These are signs of a repeating pattern. Some theorists believe that these messages are tools of mind control, targeting children's subconscious minds from a young age, conditioning them for certain concepts that later manifest as consumerism, sexuality, obedience, or even cultural dominance. You might think it's all just fantasy, but when you realize these same methods are used in major advertising campaigns around the world, when you understand how easily the human subconscious can be influenced, it becomes harder to confidently say that Disney was just a cartoon company. When people hear the words Illuminati or Freemasonry, many immediately laugh and say, "Another conspiracy theory." But if you take a second look at Disney's works through the lens of symbolism, you start noticing things that were always there, yet you never really paid attention to. The Disney Castle, the brand's iconic symbol, closely resembles the architecture of ancient temples, with geometric symmetry, pointed towers, and a grand gate that opens into another world. In the original company logo, a glowing arc of light circles around the castle, resembling energy circuits or magical rings. In Fantasia, one of Disney's strangest and most experimental projects, a simple cartoon mouse named Mickey Mouse suddenly becomes a powerful sorcerer. A sorcerer who manipulates the cosmos through symbols, spells, and supernatural forces. In that film, you see the universe, the cycle of life and death, the forces of darkness, and even the devil himself, all portrayed in animated form. In Gravity Falls, a Disney animated series, all-seeing eye symbols, mysterious triangles, and occult rituals are shown openly and are central to the story. The main villain, Bill Cipher, is directly inspired by classic Freemasonry symbols. Even in Frozen, There's a scene where magic isn't portrayed as something dark or dangerous, but rather as the only way to salvation. Magic, the supernatural, and inner power aren't just accepted, they are glorified, and the heroine finds balance through them. Is Disney using these symbols as a tool of cultural influence? Is it shaping children's minds from a young age with ideas like power comes from within, magic is good, and traditional rules are wrong? This goes beyond a simple theory when you realize these symbols don't just show up in 1 or 2 films, but in most of Disney's major productions. Deliberate, calculated, purposeful. We all know Disney as a dreamer, the man who built an empire from a simple mouse. But few know the darker side of the story. The man who created laughter, but rarely smiled behind the scenes. Walt Disney was a controlling and obsessive manager. It's said that if even a single frame of an animation didn't meet his standards, he would halt the entire project. He treated his artists more like assembly line workers than independent creatives. One former animator once said, "We felt like we were working for a visual dictator." In 1941, a major strike broke out at the Disney studios. Employees protested against poor working conditions, low pay, and having no creative ownership. Instead of listening to them, Walt fired some of the strikers and demanded absolute loyalty from the rest. Later, it was revealed that he had been collaborating with the FBI, reporting the names of suspected communists in Hollywood. But the strangest legend about Disney isn't how he lived, it's how he died. In 1966, Walt Disney died of lung cancer, but rumors began to spread that his family had frozen his body, cryogenically preserved in hopes that one day, when science advanced far enough, he could be brought back to life. The theory became so popular that some even believe his frozen body is hidden in the basement of a Disney park. There's no official evidence to support this claim, but oddly enough, no public funeral was ever held, no open goodbye. Everything was done quietly, and that silence only fueled the flames of speculation. So the question remains, was Walt Disney merely a genius entertainer, or a man driven by both the power to create dreams and the desire to defy death itself? A question that, even today, has no clear answer. When people hear the word Disneyland, they instantly think of a place that promises pure joy, a magical world where children, teens, and even adults believe they've entered a fantasy land. But what if I told you that behind this fantasy, a very real and very disturbing world is hidden? Disneyland isn't just a theme park. It's a full-fledged city with its own rules, its own security force, even its own surveillance system. In Florida, Disney received special permission from the government to declare the park area as an independent district. That means it can create its own laws, build its own infrastructure, and even operate a private police force. So when you step into Disneyland, you haven't left US soil, but you've entered a zone where Disney makes the rules. Creepy, isn't it? There are countless rumors about secret rooms, underground tunnels, and psychological experiments. It's said that beneath Disney World, there's a vast network of tunnels used by staff, equipment, and even costumed characters. So guests never see what's happening behind the scenes. But some believe those tunnels are used for more than just logistics. One well-known story is about a little girl who got lost in the park. She claims that a costumed character led her into a white room. There were no windows, no furniture, just smooth white walls, soft background music, and a strange light that made her feel hypnotized. When her parents finally found her, she was smiling, but had no memory of what had happened. Over the years, there have been several reports of children going missing in Disneyland. Most were eventually found, but some cases were different. The kids came back quiet, obedient, with eyes that no longer sparkled the way they used to. And here's the final twist: the music. Disney's audio system is extremely advanced. Some theorists believe the background music in the park uses specific frequencies that directly affect the human nervous system, inducing calm, joy, or even fear, without you ever realizing it. Maybe Disneyland isn't just a theme park. Maybe it's a massive experiment, a place built to study the human mind and discover how to influence millions of people without them even knowing.